It's going down. It's going down. It's going down on the Tiddy Pow Wow. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down on the Tiddy Pow Wow. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down on the Tiddy Pow Wow.
Thank y'all for tuning into the Tiddy Pow Wow. It's your girl, Bernica Joan, along with my girl, Quisha Denise.
What is going on,
Oh,
Bernica Joan?
Quisha, it has been a week. Do you hear me?
It is.
It
We
has
got
it has been a week.
too much going on this week.
Definitely.
But in particular, we want to talk about this amazingly disturbing story, um, which is R. Kelly's story, the Pied Piper.
Hey.
Um, I just I just feel like when I'm looking at this whole situation, I am amazed by people's so many people just want to believe in him regardless, or like they're really struggling to believe that he did this. And so
I don't
it's
even
amazing.
I don't even think that people are struggling to believe that he did this. I think it's just that people are trying to support him but then deflect and be like, well, Harvey Weinstein did it. It was a post that said, I'll never be black enough to think it's okay for a black man to rape black children just because white people did it too. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't just say, oh, what he did is, not as bad because they did it too. So it's all bad. It's all the same. And if anything, it's happening to women, young black women in our culture. So we should definitely feel more, regardless of who the perpetrator is, we should definitely feel some way about it and feel passionate about like putting a stop to whoever it is that's causing this.
Exactly. I think that we as a country we always have so much race relations problems that when people see like any black man in the media getting drugged in certain types of ways about anything, it's like they automatically come to his defense.
Yeah.
And that's really like when you
And
think
it's not even
about
about
even the
being drugged.
history.
It's not even about being drugged. It's about taking accountability for what they did,
Right.
being exposed for what they've done. Because usually 9 times out of 10, I mean, I know like in the case of Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, we know they did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's
Well,
not
there's a
enough
lot of
evidence
people
for
who
both of
do
them.
not believe that even Bill Cosby was guilty. Like they felt like, oh, he was about to try to buy a large network, so they just came for him. And every time a black man is trying to do something amazing, they come with these sex charges, sexual, rape charges, different stuff like that. But I mean, in my mind, I just can't believe that all of these people are lying, and I'm just one of them people that where there's smoke, there's fire.
Exactly.
So, I definitely feel like you can't ignore people's stories about what they are saying is has happened to them. And but then when you watching him on screen, like he's playing, well, I won't even say he's playing the victim, because like you said earlier, he is the victim. He is a victim. I won't even say he's the victim in this situation. But to him, he is being victimized because he's not used to accountability in any type of way.
He's not used to accountability, and I feel like he has rewrote history in his mind to where he really believes the story that he's made up in his mind. Like he's said it over and over, or rehearsed it over in his mind, or repeated it to other people, that to make it look like, oh, they're just out to get me, or oh, this is what it is. Like I haven't even seen the newest episode with the two girlfriends on there,
I
but
actually did watch part of it earlier, and they were really like going hard for him, but it was so um just I think it was very disturbing to watch them even defend him, and because a lot of stuff to me they said didn't even make any sense. And even just
he doesn't make any sense.
Culturally watching it just seemed like you could tell. I guess I could tell they had been brainwashed in some type of way, because it was I just didn't believe what they were saying. And one of the girls, she was very angry. It was like she was very angry that these things are happening, and so, or that people are seeing these things, and there's a lot of shame and embarrassment that comes with being in a situation like that too.
Well, I
So,
also feel like if to keep it all the way real, I feel like he has isolated them so much that she may not, they don't have social media. They probably don't even have TV to watch. Like they really
mhm,
don't even probably know the magnitude, the extent of how he's being like exposed and trying to be
mhm,
prosecuted, because he's probably kept that truth from them too, because that's very common,
mhm,
for narcissist people to do, to try to make it like they have control of the situation. So these girls may not even understand the magnitude of what he's dealing with. And so they feel like, just y'all need to leave him alone, where it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Ain't
mhm.
no going back.
Yeah,
This situation is bigger than even him at this point.
yeah. And then I guess with watching them too, um, and then seeing them kind of support each other, it was very odd, kind of in this little sister wives type of situation. But I guess in my mind, I felt like that they were lying. I just was watching them and I was like, they got to be lying because this ain't even the thinking of a normal girl.
Yeah, but if you think about him, he has said these things to them over and over enough. As I said, he's isolated them and protected them enough to where they don't believe the things that they've heard. They probably have just, who are they gonna hear it from?
Right.
If they up under him, the only story that they know, the only side they know is what he's told them about
Right.
this
And one of the girls
situation.
was saying that her mother and father were trying to exploit him for money and
And
that
that's
they
the
had
story he's
offered her
told.
like told them that they would release pictures and different things
Hmm.
to try to get money out of him. But I was wondering, did he tell them that, or
Exactly.
did they parents actually say that to them, or is that the story that they being fed by him?
Hmm.
So it's just so much to it. There's so many layers to even being, a victim in that situation. And a lot of people, because of their ages, even the woman that was older, um, they felt like, oh, well, she's older, she should know better, or she wants to be there. And I'm just like, well, you must have never dealt with anybody who's manipulative or just crazy. You
Well,
know what I
that's a
mean? Because a
blessing if
lot
you
of people,
haven't.
I sit across from women every day who are way older than these ladies, and they are trapped in certain relationships, certain situations, because mentally, they haven't broke free of what they're enduring.
Well, you can be vulnerable at any age. So
Mm-hmm.
even when there were the younger girls and the older girls on the documentary that were talking about, just being groomed by him, and like if you've never dealt with a narcissistic personality, you won't understand. But the grooming process in the beginning, where they are so, just
Charming.
charming and,
Mm-hmm.
affectionate and all about you. They make you feel like you're the only one in the world. And, all just the way they make you feel so special, like the greatest love you've ever felt. That's what those girls were experiencing. They probably thought it was genuine from him, regardless of what
Mm-hmm.
his past was. They felt like, well, I got him now. And just like we've seen his little meltdown today, I'm sure he's had broke down on them before. So he's earned their their trust and their empathy. They
Mm-hmm.
feel empathy for him, so they don't want to leave him. So that's how they groom them, to get them, to catch them, manipulate them, and then get them their emotions so wrapped up that they want to defend them and don't want to leave them, regardless of what they may hear or know to be true, that these men have been accused of. But especially R. Kelly, he's just, I don't know. That's
I think it's sad that people have really um basically ignored what's going on because he makes good music.
right.
Like there are brilliant people who have done horrible things, even more horrible than him, who were brilliant, in certain ways. Ted Bundy, for example, like he was really a brilliant mind and a very talented person, and even to a lot of people very attractive.
Hmm.
But he was raping and killing women, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so I just feel like today, I'm even watching him, like you can tell that he's very narcissistic in that he would even do those interviews,
Exactly.
you know,
Because he feels
because
invincible. He
he
feels like
does, he does. He
he
feel like he can't be touched.
exactly. He feels like that what he's doing is really giving his point of view, and that I'm so good at what I'm saying. I'm telling you the truth that it's not gonna incriminate me,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely incriminating him because he's losing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who. I mean, his PR, his publicist looked like a joke. First of all,
Right.
the one that was there in the interview with him, and I don't know who his lawyer is that would even advise him or allow him to go on TV and do the interview, because he's basically just, yeah, incriminating himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is guilty, typical narcissistic behavior.
Mm-hmm.
He looks guilty
Oh,
to
but
me.
those are the people, they want to get on the stand. They want to be in front. They want to, because in their mind they are brilliant and they will be able to convince everybody that they're not, that they are telling the truth. Even
Maybe
if
if it
they are lying.
maybe if this was his first rodeo, but the fact that we've been through this before with him, that he's
Mm-hmm.
had a whole nother trial, regardless if he wants to say that's in my past, that's in my past. Boy, boo, that is who you are. Like,
Right.
ain't nobody saying the same thing about you all these years, and you ain't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the amount of evidence that we have. Ain't no 50 plus women going to be coming in here saying the same stories that have very,
Similar
believable, yeah,
things.
similar
Mm-hmm.
things that have happened, and they're very believable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Like, there's a lot of evidence to get him. Like, ain't nobody, everybody's not lying, but on the other hand, he's just a very disturbed man.
Oh yeah.
Very disturbed. He
Yeah.
needs some real intensive help. He needs to, it's sad because either way, if he goes to jail, if he goes, they put him in a mental hospital, he's going to be institutionalized. But I guess it just depends on what kind of help is he going to get from there. What is the end goal as to how he's going to be rehabilitated?
Well, he needs like years of intensive therapy to even, I mean, because what he's dealing with is personality issues. What he's dealing with is complex trauma himself. Like he has a lot going on, that he would need to be in therapy for years. And for somebody who thinks the way he does about himself, he's not a person that's going to volunteer to go get therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he doesn't, the sad thing about it
He
is
should have
if
went to
he
Africa.
doesn't, right, if he does not get convicted, there will be more people in the future, just
Yeah.
like there has been. And sometimes when I look back at that trial, when I was looking at the documentary, at the Lifetime documentary, when I saw that, that with that girl not coming to court and her parents not coming to court, that even it just seemed like with video that the state would have still prosecuted him, um, because she was still underage and they knew it was her. But he was able to go on TV, and that is probably why he feels confident in going to interview with Gail King and doing that, because he was able to go on TV and convince people that that was not him on that video. And it's almost like he was so adamant about it that people really wanted to believe him. And then with the little girl saying that it wasn't her, parents saying it wasn't her, it was like, well, shoot, maybe our lying ass eyes are tripping.
Girl, I'm telling you, that's what they do. That's how good they are. They can definitely, it's called gaslighting. They can allow you, they make you think that you ain't heard what you heard, or you ain't seen what you seen. And he's really, I mean, for him to be so ignorant,
Mm-hmm.
he's very manipulative and very strategic on how he, on what he does. I mean, he has been for this long. He's been successful for this long, so that's why he feels like he can still get away from it. But
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, he has really, it's catching up with him.
Yeah.
And this interview just did not help his case at all.
I mean, the things that his wife said about him before did not help his case at all, because I just feel like what a man's wife and his kids got to say about him, uh, like those are the people that live with
Yeah,
him.
that
You know
speaks
what I mean?
volumes.
Those are the people who see everything. And um, there was parts of me, even when I watched her interview, that felt like she knew exactly what he was doing, but because she was scared or because she was embarrassed or whatever, that she pretended that she didn't know what was going on. But I just don't believe you would be with somebody for that many years and not know that they are doing what he was doing.
Yeah, but
You
if
know.
he's locking her in a room, probably with no phone, no way of communicating with people,
Yeah.
then and he's keeping that behavior outside of the house, in the studio, at the other house, wherever he was doing all of that, then I don't know, maybe she didn't know, maybe she suspected something, but
Didn't want to believe
didn't
it.
want to
She
believe
was in
it.
denial.
She definitely
I
was in it
definitely
now.
feel like she was in
Oh,
denial.
I feel like
I don't think she didn't know. I think she was in denial and she didn't want to believe
exactly.
that that's what he was doing. Because once that videotape came out, I mean,
Yeah,
you know, it's your husband. You know,
exactly.
if don't nobody know that
Exactly.
that's your
You're
husband.
right. Well,
So
I didn't see it, so I
you know,
wouldn't know.
yeah. I mean, I didn't see the video, but even them describing the video and listening to what was her name, the auntie of the girl, what's that
Sparkle.
artist, Sparkle? Yeah, talk about the video. So I think that just watching him just act out and just be like, oh, like they trying to ruin me, like what reason do all these women have at this point to come back and try to ruin him? And clearly it looks like he doesn't have any money to give them. So what is in it for them besides trying to get accountability for him, make him responsible for what he's done?
I know too, it's probably a process in their healing to where they probably felt a lot of shame, and now maybe it feels they think it's the appropriate time to speak out about it, or they've built up the courage to be able to speak about it, or just having, the sisterhood of all the girls coming together, telling the story, maybe just empowered each other to speak out about it, because it's probably a lot of shame that they had from some of those stories they were telling
Mhm.
and the things that they did.
Mhm.
That's not something, a pretty picture that you just want to sit up there and tell people what you were involved in.
Yeah.
And now it's just too much. It's just become too much where they feel like they probably have to. And also to be able to help other girls or try to get other
Right. You
girls
don't want
away from
nobody
him.
else to go through
No,
that.
no, especially once you come out of it and realize how traumatic this was. He
Mhm.
normalized the behavior for those girls. And that's why they spent a lot of years. Some of them spent years with him and still with
Mhm.
him after years, because he normalized their behavior and made them think that that was love.
Mhm.
And if you are a 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old girl, teenage, underage girl, and this is your first introduction to love, you're not going to know what is real and what not.
Mhm.
Especially if he's making you feel good and making you feel like, you're the one, or that you're so special. Yeah. And he's R. Kelly. So if any old Joe Schmo, little Ricky down the block can have the same type of,
Snag a
hey,
little 16-year-old.
yeah, then he can definitely do it with his fame and his status, and whatever
Mhm.
promises he had of, securing them a career in music or whatever that never happened for any of
Mhm.
them, you know.
Yeah. And I think we have to be careful about giving to people too much credit just based on their gifts and abilities. Like people think, oh, well, he had this and he had that. He could have got anybody he wanted, but maybe he could have got anybody he wanted, but he may not have been able to keep anybody around. I mean, because it seems like he had a lot of. Definitely, we know he was gifted in music and stuff, but it don't seem like he's a mature person. Like he seems very immature, and so to some extent, like these girls might be on his level, cognitively. You know what I'm
All
saying?
facts. Yeah. And that's the thing about narcissistic men. They are usually very successful. They usually have some sort of, talent or skill level that allows them to be
Mm-hmm.
successful and to make money and have things,
Mm-hmm.
or have a talent, but usually, like, what did Drew say? She, like, he was the run of the litter. Usually they're
The
very,
runt of the
yeah,
litter.
they're usually
Yeah.
ignorant or just immature. Like, to me, they're hurt little boys trapped in grown men bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And because for whatever reason, whatever their childhood trauma, whatever they went through that made them be this way, they want to whatever power was taken from them from whatever happened in their childhood,
Mhm.
they want to use that now to
Mhm.
have control over
Well,
people.
that's the thing about even narcissism is it's deeply rooted in insecurities. You
Exactly.
know, that's what develops that personality is insecurities. And then you want to build up this persona about yourself. And so that's what he has built. That's why they say Robert is different from R. Kelly cuz R. Kelly is his persona. But Robert, that's who he is. You know what I mean? And so he's been able to gaslight us with his persona, with his talent, and but still live a whole nother life that is, definitely, I mean, damaging to those women,
Yeah.
and I guess even with me, it's this whole story triggered me and so many people that I know so bad. um and just watching how it played out even in social media and how people responded to it, because even without any information just automatically wanted to go to defending him and being like, well, I'm still going to listen to his music. Like, what is your motivation for even feeling like you need to say that? What is your motivation for feeling like that it's important for you to listen to his music? Like, his music is not on trial. You know what I'm saying? What we all know, he was the musical genius. Like, that is not the issue. It's about what he has used his music to do. He has you the Pied Piper. He lured these girls in with his music so that he could abuse them and take advantage of them in ways that he did and degrade them. It wasn't even just like him sexually, like degrade them, like physically abuse them,
Mental. That's why.
isolate them from their family friends. That's the one thing is like, why is it that all these women, if they're just your girlfriends, why ain't you just going around their family and y'all all kicking it and all of it? These are not your girlfriends, because why would you feel the need to separate them from every other person in their life and make them just be all about you and isolation?
That's a
That
cult. That is a cult. But yeah, dang. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's basically what he done was isolate them so that they wouldn't be talking to other people about what was going on, so that they couldn't express to anybody. And I guess with me, I was so this story, the timing of the story was so bad for me because my own abuser had one of them had gotten released from prison. So and I had been in a situation where I had been sexually abused and isolated from my family for years, and nobody really knew what was going on because I did well in school and stuff. So people thought that I was doing good. They were so crazy. They had me in counseling while they were abusing me. You know what I'm saying? While they were scaring me into not saying anything about what was going on with me. But they had me in counseling for being separated from my own family. You
Wow.
know what I mean? And so people will they these people, they know how to make it look good. They know how to make it look like everything is normal. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because that's the only way they could get away with doing the things that they would do, is to make it look normal, to
Wow.
make it look like the situation look normal to the
Hey.
outside world.
Hey. You have spoken a mouthful right there. It's exactly what they do. It's the truth. But it's crazy. Like everybody, going back to you talking about everybody just kind of like protecting him or kind of like saying they're gonna play the music. I'm just like, to me, if you have to be a weak person to not be able to control. You can't control what music you listen to. Even when you look at it in a spiritual sense, you're allowing what he sings about to infiltrate your mind, and this is what you want to listen to. And maybe it's just because with me, music touches my soul. So if I'm
Yeah.
going to listen to some music, it's going to be some feel good music. It's going to be some music that's going to resonate with me in a way personally. Ain't nothing about him, age ain't nothing but a number, and bump and grind right now resonate with me. But
Yeah,
that's
because
just
now
me.
you knowing that he was bumping and grinding and
Exactly.
age named nothing
And
but
when
a
you
number
think
with some
about it
kids,
that
like,
way, it's
or
not.
young women. And
Yeah.
so um
And that's the thing that you said too. Like, it's not even about, because with me, I mean, I was a young girl, much younger teenage girl that was dating older guys. I mean, in our culture, that's not anything that's too shocking.
mhm.
It's been going, it's happened for years. So for me, it's not even the biggest, the issue is the sex issue. It's the mental.
And
in
emotional,
emotional
the
abuse, the physical
isolation.
abuse, the
Mhm.
isolation, the degrading. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like the sexual degrading. But I think, but that's also a narcissistic trait. They're always very over sexualized,
Mhm.
or they have these really crazy sexual fantasies, whether it's like with porn. With him, it was videoing,
Mhm.
videoing the situation. But they're very high strung sexual people to where it's almost like just sick.
Yeah, I think that you can have a high strung sexual person that's not even
Yeah.
narcissistic, but um, definitely I understand because they do dwell in fantasies.
Fantasy,
Yeah,
yes.
so that
Yes.
does make sense.
Yeah.
You
It's just
know.
I feel like it's a common trait amongst a
Mhm.
lot of different,
Yeah.
cases I've seen and people I know.
Mhm.
But yeah.
But it's just, it's just even just trying to see like how did we get to a point, even as a people where we just like, oh yeah, he didn't do it. They should have known better. It's like saying the girl that's walking down the street who gets raped because she has on too short shorts shouldn't have been wearing those shorts.
Well,
Like
that's
they
always going
they
to be an
didn't even know
argument.
they didn't even know what they was in for.
But that's always going to be an argument. People are always going to say, well, she was asking for it because she shouldn't have wore those. And why was she down this street? But that just shows the level of ignorance. And I guess just with me, I won't even address that. My thing is, if that's what makes you feel good about you, do you. If
Mm-hmm.
feeling you gonna want to listen to R. Kelly music when you know he's was
Mm-hmm.
talking about young girls and you have daughters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, then if that floats your boat, do you. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
getting ready to go back and forth or argue about stuff like that.
Right.
But it's, I guess, just my biggest issue with it is taking accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that he will never do.
Well, I mean, it serves him not to do that because the alternative is him spending years in prison.
Exactly.
So, I mean, any person who would be charged with those or are accused of those types of allegations would definitely say they didn't do it because there's a lot at stake for him to admit that, I mean, you can't expect somebody who's not been a good person come through and be like, you know what, in
Yeah.
this moment, I want to be a good
Right.
person and say, I'm sorry to all of my victims and, I'm going to try to do better and I'm going to go serve his time so that y'all can feel better about the
Right.
fact that,
That I did this.
yeah,
Well,
like it's
but I'm
not
like,
happening.
so they can't do like a lie detector test or anything? I'm like,
I mean, I guess they order lie detector tests for a lot less offenses,
I would think this would be one of the ones that they
but
should.
lie detector tests, if I'm not mistaken, can't be held against you uh in court.
Okay. So another thing we got to talk about, the enablers that help to condone R. Kelly's behavior. I think that's a big part of this whole story because that is part of the reason why he got away with it for as long as he did, because there was people in his camp that helped facilitate him, getting these young girls, going to pick them up from the school from him and all of that. So what role do you, I mean, how do you feel like, what role do they play in this whole situation, especially if there's going to be some prosecuting against him? They're going to bring
I
in.
definitely think that the people who participated, because I ain't even calling them enablers, they
You
participated
right.
in providing these girls to them. So they definitely should be facing, some kind of time or some type of, you know, they need to be held accountable. Like I can't see why they would even like even when that one guy who used to be his personal assistant was on um the Lifetime special talking about how he had um, forged the documents between him and Aaliyah. Like he admitted that on TV. You know what I mean? Like you knew that she was 15 years old and he was 27. You know what I mean? So,
But that's how regular they made the situation. That's how much they. I feel like they made it okay
mm-hmm.
because they did and they got away with it. They feel like it was an okay thing. Now I don't know how they would ever be able to prosecute him now, considering Aaliyah is gone. Or what
Mm-hmm.
what that would hold up in court. But definitely he had a lot more of a power behind him to help him push him to
But
make
he was a
everything happen.
manipulator too. Even the people around him were probably manipulated and enticed by money and just being around him, being in his camp, being a part of everything, they probably definitely felt bad about what was going on. I didn't, but they enjoyed that the comfort of being around somebody with that kind of money and that kind of status.
Exactly. And they probably felt, what could they do to stop it? Because
Mhm.
so many people were, cooperating and doing things to make that happen. So they probably just felt like, well, if I don't, get with it, I get
Mhm.
out there, he's gonna find somebody else that can, do
Yeah.
this so they wanted their share of it. I wanted their little space piece of it, and that's why they continue to do it. But even the parents,
Mhm.
I couldn't even imagine the history of what I would know about R. Kelly to want to leave my daughter in his care, regardless of what he said or what promises he made to me. I will never understand the mindset of them. Like,
Yeah. Well, it would be no different than so say for instance if somebody has a gift or a talent, it's just like there are certain people who went and stayed with their trainers for certain things, like in tennis and golf you would, or gymnastics, sometimes they would go stay with their trainers and while they are being like groomed in their profession, being just
training.
trained. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like maybe their families might have thought that they were going to be with him and learn from him and they maybe had some level of trust there, but I
I
just
mean,
don't know what he did to make them feel like that they could trust him to that extent.
but that's my thing. I'm like, these ain't just regular, trainers or gymnastics coach we talking about this is R. Kelly, who has been on trial for sex with underage girls on a tape, on a video that a lot
Hmm.
of people saw. A lot of people said
But
that
he was
was
able
him.
to convince people that
That's
that wasn't
crazy.
true.
And he married Aaliyah. Like, people like, girl,
But even up until that Lifetime story, even that Aaliyah thing was kind of like a myth.
vague.
Like
Yeah.
nobody really knew if that was true or not. It was just a rumor,
Yeah.
you know.
He did good concealing all his dirt till he finally couldn't conceal it no more.
He
Because
didn't even conceal it though. He put it in
he
his
did.
music.
He didn't. He really didn't. That's the thing about it. Like, I don't
He
even.
hid in plain sight for
Well,
real.
maybe like I said, he paid enough people off to keep it as low
Maybe
profile.
that's why he couldn't pay his bond money and his child support.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's another thing. You mentioned financial abuse earlier when we was talking, and
Oh, how he did his wife. Yeah.
that's such a powerful thing, because that's not just R. Kelly running around doing that. That's prevalent in so many
Well,
situations.
nothing that R. Kelly is doing is specific to R. Kelly because we
Yeah.
have a lot of R. Kellys running around. You know what I mean? Um, I understand that we have a lot of R. Kellys running around on many levels, and so but even him like having that kind of money and just like I guess I don't even understand how you have the kind of money that he has had that's touched his hands. How do you be $161,000 behind in child support?
To me, that's chump change. I feel like he could have made that kind of money in one appearance at a
One
club.
song,
Exactly.
yeah.
One song or one club appearance, performing. He should have been able to make that kind of money to pay her off. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the part of the personality disorder to where that he's just not going to do that, because
He
him doing
he
that,
needs to punish her.
he needs to punish her. And him doing
Mm-hmm.
that is she's winning. Like, she's getting something from him. He's losing money and she's winning. So he don't never want her to win. And it's not even about her. That's what he don't even realize.
Well, clearly he definitely is losing right now because he got out of jail, went right back for he got locked up for child support. So um he's definitely not winning.
No.
But I think more than anything, I wonder how these girls are going to move on and how they are going to internalize even the things that have happened to them and the way they have been treated. And even we were talking about that shame and guilt, you know, some of them it probably did take them years to come out and talk about that because that's not something that's really easy to talk about, because you're gonna have to face those people. They're gonna be like, well, why would you want to stay there anyway, or why would you put yourself in that type of situation or whatever, and then feeling like, well, I must deserve everything he did to me because I willingly went to that house or I willingly went over there or whatever. And then but people only think like that when they've never had to deal with that kind of a monster or that kind of manipulation.
Yeah. And that is something that I I don't know. I just have zero tolerance for ignorance. Like, do not speak upon a situation unless you have directly been affected with it or you know someone that's directly been affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
know,
sometimes people on the outside might think that people like even like me having been a victim, somebody might think, oh, she's biased because she's been a victim in a situation, and so she's thinking that that situation is like her situation, and just because she's been victimized doesn't mean that what he's doing is true. And so like some people they won't even take what you have to say face value because they think it comes from a place of being biased.
well, I feel like someone that has been in a similar situation or has dealt with someone that has a similar personality disorder would have more experience to be able to point out the characteristics that they
Mm-hmm.
see in that
Oh
person.
yeah, because
So,
dealing with that kind of stuff will definitely increase your level of discernment,
exactly.
and it definitely makes you pay attention to the world in a different way. It
Ex-
changes the way you view
It's
people
a whole new awakening. It's an enlightenment of something that you never really
because it's such a
existed.
dark world.
It is a dark world. It's like it's very demonic, but like I say it's all spiritual at the end of the day.
Yeah, and he has some spiritual issues. Like his trauma and everything has really just changed the even the him on the inside. Like so he is not even probably who he would have been had those things never happened to
He's
him.
he's he's battling his demons, and you can see it happen right before us. Him
Mhm.
just jumping up and moving his arms around the way he was and throw. He is literally fighting demons off of him, like he's back going to war with himself. It's so true. You can see it
Mhm.
right before our eyes.
Yeah. But some people thought because he had that much emotion and he had that he was telling the truth.
But that's as somebody that's not looking at it from a spiritual sense, from a emotionally mature,
Mhm.
sense. Like it's and my thing too is just educate yourselves. Instead of
Mhm.
being ignorant to what it is, like look at it from both sides. Y'all just looking at it as from fans. Like at the end of the day, these celebrities are real people.
Mhm.
They're humans just like us. The same way I feel like it's the same way with Trump. People are so, his supporters are so fascinated by who he is because of this persona that he has made for himself. But at the end of the day, he's just a person
Mhm.
that can get the same type of, that's susceptible to any type of personality disorder or mental illness like any other person. Just because he's, a reality star or celebrity doesn't make him invincible, yeah,
Yeah.
or exempt from any type of,
Mhm.
you know, whatever, and
Yeah.
that's and he's look at the power that he has. And
Yeah.
he's an idiot. If you ever listen to one of his press conferences or one of his addresses, I mean, he sounds
But I
like a
just feel like
fool.
there's this thing that this common thing that I notice is like kind of like this with people who have this type of personality, or sometimes there is like kind of lower functioning, like or some type of insecure, like
A
he's
deficit.
yeah. So it's deficit. Like with him, it was more of I mean, definitely his own abuse, and then um
Who's about
not
R.
being
Kelly?
able to read. Yeah,
Yeah.
R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't read. So that probably kept him at a level,
Yeah.
a high school level or a middle school level of thinking or whatever. But
But to be so musically inclined.
mhm.
Yeah.
But when you hear the people talk about him, like when he was younger, he was a lame,
Yeah.
and he does have a song. I forget the name of the song. Uh where in there he says, back in the day, I used to say, "Can I get with you today?" And they told me, "No, Rob, no way, no how, not today."
Yeah.
Like he talks about being rejected as a young person. And he was, from by all accounts, even from those people that knew him when he was younger, he was kind of a lame. And even when I think of even the term lame, I think of hurt, broken. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like he is lame. He's
Yeah.
a lame, hurt man. You know what I'm saying? Or a lame, hurt boy in like you said, in a man's body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then in his mind, he probably still feels lame. So he uses these women to make himself feel like he's something or someone. Even because even the music, he has that, but that has fed all of that stuff that he's doing. You know
But
what I'm saying? Because that's been able to give him access. Because if he had not been a famous person or become a celebrity or had a talent, he probably would have been like a serial rapist or something.
yeah.
Like I could
He
see
probably
him
already
probably
been.
be
Yeah.
some type of
He.
either some type of man that abuses or rapes women, and he just
Yeah.
probably would have been
He would have been
a
some.
poor man doing it,
Yeah, he would have been just some sort of abuser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely see
But a
that.
lot of people
But
would
like you,
think that me and you are very biased because we see it that way.
yeah, no, I just feel like I'm very woke
Mm-hmm.
and I'm aware of what's out there, and
Mm-hmm.
I also see similarities. And if it walked like a duck, you know what I mean. And if
Yeah.
1 plus 1, all of these different, I look at the facts. All these women are not going to come and say the same thing about something that's not true. So I can definitely see it. That the emotions that they have, they were
Yeah,
very
they
real.
seem like they was very genuine.
Definitely.
Cause I don't remember seeing any tears from him, like real tears.
No,
Did you see any real
no,
tears?
he's just real animated.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny. Like it was sad because it's just a sad situation that these people have to endure this, and these victims have to um, watch him adamantly deny even harming them any type of way. And of course, with my own situation, I have known what that felt like to even sit in a courtroom with somebody and they really act like they didn't do nothing to you. And it's just like, but you did. And to feel like you're the person that's on trial, like that people are challenging your story and what
Girl.
you're saying, and that this person is seen as somebody who's being just getting mud thrown on their name, and you're seen as a, well, prove it. If
Yeah.
he did it, prove it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If they did it, prove it.
Yeah.
And you do got to prove it. Like, but it's just sad that you could go through something and be victimized in a certain type of way, and then people are trying to like squeeze a lemon out of you to make you prove that whatever happened to you happened. And so I feel sorry for the girls because I know they have to watch him like be this person and play these games when they know what they've endured.
Well, when you know what you know, there's nothing nobody can do to shut that down. So, I would hope that they're getting the help that they need to be able to deal with that, because that's, of course, he's going to deny it. Like you said, he's not going to go in there and admit that he did it. He's not going to incriminate himself now because, like you said, he's fighting for his life.
He is fighting for his life
He
though at this
really is.
point. Because can you imagine R. Kelly being locked up?
Well,
Can you imagine
it's
him
long
being locked up
overdue.
for that? Do you imagine what he is gonna endure
Yeah.
after that? He probably would be in he probably be isolated from the general population for years because they couldn't protect him in there. They would not be able to protect him in there. And so I just, he's definitely deserving of whatever comes with that. But do you think he'll really be found guilty? Because I'm not so sure that he will be found guilty. Because when you have cases like that where people are coming, especially years later, you know, you got to think about what's gonna really stick.
Well, they
You know what
found
I'm
Bill
saying?
Cosby guilty, and I feel like there's way more evidence on R. Kelly than there is Bill
But with
Cosby.
Bill Cosby, I felt like a lot of his victims were white too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's why I think that's why it was the biggest issue on them wanting to do this documentary and shed light on it, because these are black girls that are being affected by it. And you're right, with the Bill Cosby thing, it was that funny haired white, I don't know if it was a woman or a man or what, looked like a soccer player from back in the 70s, but she looked nuts, but it's R. Kelly.
I don't know that he'll be found guilty. But that doesn't mean that I don't support the victims and think that he really did it. I just know, just from having gone through a case like that circumstantial, there has to be some circumstantial evidence that really supports their stories. And I know what that circumstantial evidence was in my case. And it was multiple victims who had these same stories. But and some of us didn't know each other. But I wonder what is going to be the piece that links all of this together for R. Kelly and make them say guilty without a shadow of a doubt. Because you can't have any reasonable doubt. And there are so many holes that have already been poked in their stories, and especially when you have there are women who are currently dealing with him saying that all of this stuff is lies.
Exactly. And the fact that the women weren't literally being held against their will, they were mentally
Mm-hmm.
captivated. You know, he had their
Exactly.
minds, but they could have walked at their door at any moment that they wanted
Right.
to, literally. Like they weren't barred in.
Yeah,
So,
but there's no crime. There's no crime for, there's no charge for manipulating people.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like there's not going to be, it's going to be hard to prove.
And
Um,
prosecute.
it is. It is going to be hard to prosecute, and so that's where I kind of feel sorry for them. But I'm hoping that even if he doesn't get found guilty on any of the charges, that at least, that socially that he's ruined because. But I just feel like it's hard because even when I watch the Shade Room, they had posted like some video of people in the club with him. Like they was hyped that he was in there, and they was still singing his songs. And it's like as a culture, like nobody didn't care, about what had just even happened. This is just like days after this documentary even aired, the Lifetime documentary, and he was in the club being supported by other people, by other black people.
But there's always going to be idiots who support other people. Like, you know, I mean, just with social media, the things that people do, the ignorant stuff that people do, and they're supported. You know, people
Yeah.
support them. So there's always going to be supporters of people that shouldn't be supported. But I feel like I feel like there's more people against him right now than that is for him.
Yeah,
And I hate to
even
even say,
even the people who are posting memes and different stuff like that, you can tell that everybody is kind of laughing at him, and just very like entertained by what he is doing, but nobody, I guess, but there are some people that really do believe that he didn't do anything.
they want to
mean,
believe it. They're in denial too because they're not mature enough to realize that you can, yes, you can like their music, but still say, okay, yes, he's guilty. But people don't want to do that. People don't want to let go. They don't want to let go of R. Kelly. You know, and y'all ain't gotta complete. I mean, I guess you ain't gotta let go of him, but at least acknowledge that what he's doing is wrong, because saying that that he's being lied on and stuff is only turn these women down, saying that their stories are not true. And that's the worst thing in the world, to like make a victim feel like they're
well,
not being taken
it's
serious.
also an element of just being re-victimized,
Exactly.
socially by everybody, because everybody, like I said, is making them try to prove that they was even victimized in the first place, and then making them feel ashamed and guilty for having put themselves in that situation. And it's just like, to me, when you think about their ages, some of their ages when they even met him, and then the way he was able to use his status and stuff to manipulate them, it's grown women that wouldn't be able to withstand that type of manipulation and brainwashing. So I don't know. I just, when I look at it, I just feel like it is sad that they have to go through this. You know what I mean? And as a person who has been through this and been a part of a story that was all over the media and stuff like that, like I understand just all the negative feelings and the reliving.
Yes.
Like you have to relive that stuff over again. You know what I mean? I mean, when my abusers went to prison, I was 21 or 20, maybe 21, 22. And I hadn't been there since I was 15. You know what I'm saying? But to have to tell somebody all that stuff, to spill out all your guts about what you've been through, and then people still
throw jabs at you.
Throw jabs. And I think even in my situation, I feel very blessed to have had a situation that actually resulted in some justice. But even in my situation, I remember like the pivotal moment for me in that situation was when they were doing the sentencing, or when they got found guilty or whatever. I remember her being like, just yelling out, I did what he told me to do. And like when she did that, I just got up and walked out, because at that point I felt like that I felt vindicated that everybody now knows the truth and I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? But it took like even when we would come to court and stuff, his family and their families would be looking at us and be all nasty and stuff like that. And I just remember leaving out of that courtroom feeling like, yeah, now y'all see who y'all people really are. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And that his sister ran out and tried to hug me and stuff, and I'm just like,
Oh
lady,
God.
get off of me. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Y'all take y'all weird ass people on. Like, but I just think that it's just unfortunate that victims are treated so harshly. You know what I mean? That's the part of his story that bothers me the most is watching the scrutiny of their stories and how people are responding to them because they want him to be innocent so bad, or they don't want to believe that somebody's capable of this. I really think that's probably what it is that somebody, like, people don't want to believe, like, man, he ain't do it. Why would he do that?
And
He
they're like,
got
well,
too much money. He could have done this. He could have had any woman that he want, so it's like, I don't know, it's just something very disturbing about it to me.
yeah, but that's people not looking at it from a psychological point of view. Yes, he can, but
Mm-mm.
if he feels insecure, you said that narcissists are rooted in deep insecurity. If he feels insecure, he's not even, and a lot of the women besides Aaliyah, a lot of the women that he even had or that came forward were not the most beautiful women in the
Yeah.
world. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
out of like all the places and all the women that he could have had, not saying that, they, but they.
Man, he picked people who didn't have nobody coming for them
Exactly.
for real. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
He
And not
picked
even
the
that he picked
vulnerable
women
women.
who were vulnerable. That's what it is. He picked women who were vulnerable and women that he knew he could get away with it with. And there are people who, maybe it was probably women who've been there and people's came for them. Or maybe well,
Yeah.
we know that one girl's family came for her,
Yeah.
but
Or they
was
got
it
involved.
Dominique?
Yeah, Dominique.
Yeah.
Or they got involved with him and then realized, like, I don't know, like, if this is what you got going on, like, they probably girls that was dating him and maybe thought it was cool and then got to the
Right.
studio and saw that bed in the middle of there and was like, oh no, this fool got some issues. I'm checking it out. You got a bed in the middle of the studio.
Right.
I'm out of here. Like, some women were not okay with that, but
Mm-hmm.
then, he knew who victims
Yeah, he
know.
know. I
I mean,
mean,
predators
predators know
know
who
who.
they can prey on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And who's gonna fall for it, and you never know what's going on in somebody's life to why they could be in a vulnerable position.
Mm-hmm.
They might have just lost their job.
Mm-hmm.
They might have just lost their mother. They
Yeah,
might have just, maybe, had another failed relationship, a
yeah.
miscarriage, or anything could happen to where a woman, doesn't matter what age, because it was a lot of talk about, them women were grown, they knew what they were doing. But if
But
you,
maybe they weren't just like they were, just like he was stunted in his development by trauma or whatever. Maybe they were stunted in their own development because a lot of women who are abused in any kind of way usually have some type of ACE, which is an adverse childhood experience, or ACE is like what it is, like adverse childhood experiences that they've endured, and that they end up with people who are abusive in some type of way because they've endured abuse, as young people. So I bet if we looked into like the history of the girls who were there with him and who did get abused by him and used and taken advantage of, I bet you will find a trauma history with them too.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But just hurt
it's
people. And if
true.
you don't get no healing, and that's why when people are like, well, he was a victim and he didn't get any healing, I understand that. I understand being a victim, but being a victim doesn't give you an excuse to victimize other people. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I stop with my sympathy and my empathy for him. Is that he didn't have to. He had access to all the resources in the world because of the type of money he had. He didn't have to allow what he'd been through to become what he does. You
Yeah.
know. So in that we just have to, as a people, we have to pay attention to everything about a situation. Like we can't just be like, oh, because he had this or he had that he's not capable.
Yeah, and I think if
It
anything,
made him more capable.
yeah, and I think they should just make people more aware of what is going on and what can happen. I think there was some guy here in Louisville, and I don't even know his name, but a black guy, and he like was running like a gym, a gymnastics gym or
Oh,
something.
yep.
Yeah, and that was just in the news like last week. And he had been like, someone had, said that he allegedly was, messing with some young girl, like trying to, do something with some girl.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people that still could, like, and it shut down the facility, and then he
Mm-hmm.
opened it back up, and people were like still continuously bringing their their kids, their
Mm-hmm.
daughters, to after there was already any allegations. I'm sorry if there's allegations, like you said, where there's some smoke, there's fire. I'm never gonna willingly bring my child.
Right. There's something to it.
Exactly. There's something to it. And I'm at least, even if I'm leery about it, I'm never going to just leave my child alone with you during practice. I'm going to be right there the
Mm-hmm.
whole time. Even if I feel like, oh, you're the best person in the world and I want you to, train my daughter, I'm never going to let you do that alone. If there are
Mm-hmm.
some allegations or any type of, information being, you know, put out
Put
there about
out
this
there
person,
about
like
you.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. There's no way. But
But I think that you think like that from eyes and a spirit of discernment that you have developed through things that you've been through versus somebody who maybe ain't been through or maybe ain't been traumatized in the type of way might not
be just
see. They're like,
naive.
oh well, he wasn't found guilty, so it probably wasn't true. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because a lot of people think because people aren't found guilty, it's just like OJ.
Huh.
We roll with OJ because just because of how the black man had been done historically, we roll with OJ. And when I look back at OJ, I remember being in middle school and being happy about him being found not guilty. As an adult woman who understands the type of abuse that woman endured in her relationship with him, I'm saddened by the fact that I ever thought that it was okay for him to even get off on those kind of charges because he seemed like he did it. Like,
Yeah.
but they was able to prove, poke holes in that story. And that's the thing is like, I feel like these girls are not gonna probably get the justice they
Yeah.
deserve because of um the amount of time that they spent there, the age that they were, and then the holes that they'll poke in their stories of their parents and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and then just, I let's believe I know that just in with cases like that, it's about the evidence and
Mm-hmm.
what you can prove. And it doesn't matter what the truth is, what you know to be true in your heart. It's about what you can prove. And, that's kind of where it is here. So you might be right.
Yeah, that's the part of it that makes me say like I hope that all of this won't be for nothing for them, or they won't feel like all of this was for nothing. So, um, but we'll see how it plays out. I mean, only time is gonna tell what's really gonna happen with the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
It's just sad that he was able to do this and get away with it for so long. But you know everything happens and comes to light
Oh,
in
yeah.
the end.
There'll be more developments to this story, and we'll touch on them at a later
Definitely.
date.
Well, thank you all for listening to us here at the Tiddy Pow Wow. You can follow us on Instagram at the Tiddy Pow Wow and definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel. We appreciate you. And if you have anything that you want us to talk about or anything, please DM us or email us at the tiddypowwow@gmail.com.
See y'all later.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down on the Titty Powwow. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down on the Titty Powwow. It's going down. It's going. It's going down. It's going. It's going down on the Titty Powwow.